Toro of the Fancy Action Now, and we are going to get into this one. I am doing yet another reaction video to an Asmongold video regarding Crimson Desert and IGN. He's reacting, I'm reacting to him who's reacting to another creator. So this is completely meta at this point. How far into the mirror do we want to go? So I'm going to jump that up a little bit. So let me preamble this. First of all, we're going to do station identification.
Let me show them some fancy action now.
We are going to reinforce that if you like this content, please appreciate and respect it. I get, depending upon the video, of course, I get tons of views or solid views, and I get a trickle of likes. A trickle of likes. I know I do have big boobs, but they're not the kind that you like. And I'm working them too. I'm working them. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cream of the crop. Okay. So we are going to do a reaction video, and then I kind of want to see where we are at. Hulk Hogan. Oh yeah. We're going to jump on to our channel, The Fancy Action Now.
Let me show them some fancy action now.
And we're going to check out camera, audio, all that good crap. Okay, all right, so we're going to I'm sitting up, I'm Indian style. I fixed my coffee before I started the stream. All right, so we're going to jump that up a little bit so we're eye to eye. Eye to eye. Let me kick back a little bit. DSP, is that you? Funny. Oh, now we're in ideal range. I had to move stuff around yesterday unwillingly, but I did it. But IGN has doubled down. IGN has doubled down. Now we're in ideal range. Yeah. I had to move stuff around yesterday unwillingly, but I did it. Ooh, that looks good. But IGN has doubled down. Oh, okay. So we're going to pause this. We're going to drop the volume. We're going to continue on with it. Okay, we need to come down just a hair on the camera, and I think we're pretty good. We're looking pretty good. All right, so let me set the table. All right, let me set the table. So IGN, which is a queer Marxist propaganda outlet at this point. That's the end of the story. That's the tagline, that's the punchline, that's the bottom line, is that they want to put the brakes on anything that doesn't have their fringe ideology. Period. And anybody who thinks logically is looking at this and going, what are you? I mean, you're not a journalistic outlet. Let's just say that right now. You're a gatekeeper for queer Marxism in gaming. Period. You're going to put the brakes on anything that does not give lip service to or serve your propaganda, which is literally between 5 and 8% of the total population. It comes out of the university system. These people get a almost worthless journalism degree, which is in the age of AI is a complete waste of your time. So these, and we're seeing the end of it. We're seeing kind of everybody's talking about, oh, the country is just collapsing and the culture. No, the university system is collapsing from within. Again, if you purport to be a university to educate free-thinking people into critical thinking and specialized knowledge to serve the community in specialized roles, but all you do is facilitate queer Marxism, then you've abandoned what you were intended to be. You're literally a wolf in sheep's clothing. You're literally wearing the skin of a university, or you're wearing the skin of a game reviewing site. Okay, that's not what they are. That's not what they are. They're wearing the skin suit of games journalism. But what I wanted to, and I just hit you with the bottom line right away, because you get it here on the Fancy Action Now.
Let me show them some
you get
fancy
it clear,
action now.
you get it quick. I start off with the major point. But I saw that Asmongold is reacting to another YouTuber in regards to this fiasco, and at IGN over Crimson Desert. Crimson Desert is an 8. It is an outstanding game. It is realized its ambition. It's not only ambitious, it's realized. But the passive-aggressive voice of these closet aristocrats with their fringe ideology that we just don't get it. Like with the plebs, at one point in time, and we'll get into it, but at one point in time, they write this article, and in it they say, well, this game is right for you, or for the people that like this kind. It's this passive voice that basically says, if you're a knuckle-dragging chud, which actually means you're a normal person and a customer of video games, well, then this game is for you. It's not for us. It's not for the illiterati. It's not for the elite. It's not for the elite purveyors of information to the unwashed masses. That is why Marxism and communism always goes back to a neo-feudalism. You're a serf. You're a dirty serf. You work in the dirt. We're the aristocrats. We're the academics, and we are going to talk down to you and basically dictate to you, the way. And we live differently. We're different. We live differently than you. We're not even. You're not even. You're subhuman. We're actual humans. Dig in the dirt, pleb. Grow the potatoes. You don't own anything. You're not entitled to private property. Do you know what I'm saying? But believe me, the Politburo of every communist country owned the businesses, the land. Again, it's neo-feudalism. That's all it is. It's a rebranding. So there's no king. There's a great leader, and then there's a Politburo, which is the nobility, and then there's the academic class. It is the exact. It's almost beat for beat the feudalist system. They want you to go back, like when they come out and they say you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. What they're talking about is you're now a serf. You're a serf. You don't own anything. Serfs don't own anything. You work the land. You don't own the land. Better people do. People of this particular class. Again, it's a caste system, and they kind of what communism tries to do is reinstigate the caste system, and they lost it on the workers because reforms came in. See, what it is that all you really need is some mild reforms for the system to work for the most amount of people. In like a republic, or that kind of parliamentary, where you're, so it's like, but the problem is there are groups that want to force the general population back into serfdom and feudalism, and it's just rebranded, and they try to guilt you into it. You know, like, oh my God, we're all not equal. We have to like take from you to make other people equal. And really what they're doing is they're just grafting off of that. It's just a horrible system, man. It's a horrible system. And what IGN has devolved into is a den of mid-wit academics that want to lecture you and dictate what the culture will enjoy. And it must be within their ideology. And if you're not willing to go along with that, well, then you're a pleb, you're a chud. See, chud and pleb are basically interchangeable. You're the common folk, you don't get it, you're not progressive like we are, which is the really regressive, right? And a lot of weak people retreat into academia. Not all, but there's a lot of people that, well, I can go into academia and be more successful because it's a simulated reality. It's a simulacrum of real life. It's not real life. Like once you get out, like a lot of people leave academia, go into the real world, understand the toughness required and the relentlessness and the hard work and sacrifice that is required to succeed in the real world, and they run right back to academia. Yep. So we're gonna dive into this.
Now, I will watch the Crimson Desert video, okay? A lot of people asked me to look at this. This was, I guess it was about IGN making a review for Crimson Desert saying it was terrible.
Do me a big favor. If you like the content, this is going to be a deep one.
Slice that like button.
This is going to be a deep one. If you like the content, slice the like button. I'm going to hit it one more time. Hit it one more time for me.
Slice that like button.
There you go. Slice that like. Now, here's the thing. Like I put DSP on the thumbnail. All credit to DSP. He's an OG. But it was like watching the Cuphead tutorial video where the game reviewer could not get past the tutorial. It was so bad. It was so funny too. It was like watching that guy fail at a game like hard was absolutely entertaining. So we're just
let's watch it. This video
baby.
Apparently is really, really popular. I haven't seen it. We're gonna look at it right now. You gave up?
Arrogance.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Okay, let's go.
Not even a week after publishing what is probably the most consequential bad review in recent gaming history.
Yep.
A review that crashed Pearl Abyss's stock 40%. That was substantially written about.
Sorry, I'm going to interrupt a lot. That is gatekeeping. That is putting the brakes on a game that I predicted that we just want to put the brakes on the game because white male pro tag, no regressive stuff in there. It's just pure video game. And it's mostly realized ambition. And then they fixed the things that were holding it back. The small elements that they needed to have on launch, they fixed in like 3 days. Like unbelievable level of response time in that environment. Okay, so customer focused, serving the actual customer, not giving lip service to woke queer Marxist ideology. Boom.
Things patched away.
I don't think that the bad review is why their stock went down.
It is.
I don't think that's the reason why.
It is. Asmon's wrong on this one. The reaction of the Western press is what they were basing it on. They were watching it in the market. The speculators were watching. And as soon as that bad review dropped. So that is the level of power that IGN once wielded. But this has destroyed it. Again, sometimes you have to go through the mud to get where you need to go. And Pearl Abyss and Crimson Desert had to deal with that dark valley of ridiculous gatekeeping from IGN to emerge back out like a phoenix to massive sales and rave reviews and happy gamers, addictive gameplay. I'm excited to get into it. I'm going to buy the game. I'm excited to play the game. I kind of want to wait until they do the controller patch because they're working on a controller patch right now. Because I'm mainly a controller gamer. I'm probably going to just play it on Xbox and call it good. And I like to play with the controller. Even on PC, I play with the controller. So I would prefer to wait until that controller patch comes in so it's not frustrating to me. But, you know, yeah.
72 hours that 3 million people ignored with their own money.
Yeah. It's a massive hit.
IGN just published...
So, and we're going to get to the article here in a minute. IGN rated this a 6, lower than Dustborn, lower than Concord, lower than Veilguard. Okay? That is absurd. Incompetent. It should have just got a 7 just for the size and scope and the ambition of the game. It should have been a 7. That's why I say I safely rated it an 8. Now people are coming out and saying this game is an 8 or a 9. Some people are rating it 10 out of 10. I was conservative with my 8. 2 points ahead of. And the reason why Veilguard, this is the brutal side by side. Veilguard got a 9 because it was woke and it featured transitional surgery scars and it featured non-binary. All of this is queer Marxism. Queer, and let me convey one concept of queer Marxism. Queer Marxism is anti-capitalism, anti-human. They believe, and listen closely, queer Marxists believe there is no gender, that is a construct of capitalism, that gender doesn't exist. Okay? Are you getting an idea of what these people believe in? Gender and or the combination of opposites is what defines the natural world. We have entire languages on Earth that are divided into genders. Every major species on the Earth is a different gender. It is an expression of the energetic nature of reality to have a positive and negative charge, to have a light and a dark. To have an on or an off. It is the duality that defines this entire reality down to the quantum level. And these people don't believe that. These people believe that there is no such thing as gender. It's not whether you're gay. Gay insinuates gender. Gay men, gay women. That insinuates a gender. They don't believe in gender at all. At all. They believe gender is a construct of capitalism. That is absolute denial of reality. That is disassociation from the very foundation at the molecular, at the quantum level. The positive, negative, and neutral charges are what define the formation of matter. And they're just like, yeah, that's just a political construct of capitalism. That's what these people believe, bro.
Another Crimson Desert piece.
All right. Crimson Deserts, here's the article by IGN. IGN doubles down. Crimson Desert's patches can't fix its biggest issue. Can Crimson Desert patch its way to a Cyberpunk 2077 style victory? Way beyond it. It took them forever at CD Projekt Red to get that thing in a playable state, like a year. These guys fixed the major issues other than the controller mapping and layout. they fixed everything in 3 days. Not 3 weeks, not 3 months, not a year, 3 days. That means it was all hands on deck. Every single resource was deployed, and everybody was working like 12-hour, 14-hour days, and to get that fixed. They turned the efforts of IGN around in 3 days. Everybody hates IGN. Nobody trusts IGN. This was the nail in the coffin of IGN. This is the coffin nail. Because nobody has to go to you for reviews anymore, IGN. And if you were a good journalistic outlet, you might retain your relevancy. Like if I knew, like, okay, I'm going to get the straight dope on a game, I'm going to get a really solid, well thought out review by somebody who's really keyed into the industry. If I go into IGN, you'd still be relevant. But no, you are a Marxist, queer Marxist, gaming outlet, theater kids that got your throwaway journalism degree, and you're just perpetuating this ridiculous ideology that's on the outs. Nobody wants it. Nobody cares. Nobody's buying the games. It's literally destroying studios, destroying companies. It's destroying game franchises. And nobody cares. Nobody cares anymore. You're at the most, and again, the study I saw, an empirical study, was if you take all of the ideologies together as an aggregate, the most it is 8% of the total population. That means 92% of people couldn't give a rip about your denial of reality. Okay? Nobody gives a rip of that shit. Except for the extreme, illiterati, academic, queer Marxists. That's it. And most of it is 5% or lower. Most of the ideologies are 5% or lower. You're not relevant in the culture. You're an outlier. Are you a citizen entitled to your rights? I will not take that away from anyone. If you're a citizen of the United States, you're entitled to your rights under the Constitution. Period. Period. End of story. I don't care what your ideology is. You're entitled to your rights. You're entitled to access to public spaces. You're entitled to redress of grievance. You're entitled to a trial of your peers. You're entitled to you're entitled to speak your mind and to promote your ideology as freely as you want. I'm not saying you don't have a right to sit here at IGN and be a propaganda factory, but you're going to fail in the marketplace. That is why all these games fail, because there's not enough of you. There's not enough of you to support products that promote the ideology, and every time these fringe ideologies try to do anything in the greater marketplace, in the general marketplace, it fails because there's just not enough of you. You're not the culture. So when you start these like no men cafes, and the cafe goes out of business in a couple of months or in a month, or like pubs and products, and it's like there's not enough of you there. What you guys wind up having is like queer Marxist or socialist bookstores, and those are very effective and those work. And you have like your little zines and your little subcultures, and you have your little websites and your little clubs and stuff like that. And that's as far as it goes. You're never going to break into the major culture. You're never going to dictate to the major culture. It's always going to fail because you don't represent the majority of people. Have your subculture. Enjoy it. You know, make fun of the, you know, like just throw shade on the chuds and the plebs and the regulars and the NPCs and all the regular folks, and you know, have your like arrogant little, you know, magazine meetings and all this, and we're gonna overthrow, and you know, the revolution, the cultural revolution. You've already failed the workers' revolution. You already lost that one. You're losing the cultural revolution. There's just not enough of you. There's just not enough of you. And you got to be careful, because if you get too aggressive, then the major culture is just going to roll over and crush you. For real. I mean, it's like this is what's happening here. The IGN is going against the gamer culture. And you're including the eastern side of the gaming culture, which doesn't give lip service to any of this crap. So now you've got the Eastern culture, you've got the regular Western culture, and you're coming out and going up against that, and you will fail. You will. It's guaranteed failure. And you're not like a romantic failure. You're a sad, annoying, lecturing, ridiculous fringe failure. Let's keep going. God, that was a rant.
And this time, they called the developers naive designers. I want you to sit with that for a second.
All right, let's stop right there. The naive designers, they literally called Pearl Abyss Crimson Desert. This is going to be one of the biggest hits of the year. It's already over 3 million. I think this game has the potential to go to 10 million sales. They come out with the DLC, they announce a DLC and whatever, everybody's going to jump on board. I haven't even bought the game yet, and I totally intend to. I think that I'm not the only one either. And I'm not the only one that's going to be waiting for the controller situation to be fixed. A lot of people play on controller. So they call them naive designers. They call them naive because they're not giving lip service to their progressive ideology. Period. And they're not being naive. It's actually, and I love how they do the inversion. And again, the inversion implies an opposite, a gender, a male and a female, a plus and a minus, a positive and a negative. All right? Even that implies and reinforces the natural order, because you can't get away from it. It is what it is in this reality. Okay? So they call them naive designers. It is you, IGN, who are naive in thinking that this has not damaged your credibility, that you have not become irrelevant and arrogant, and you are on the way out as we all turn our backs on you. I turned my back on IGN. I knew the writing was on the wall long ago. I knew they were completely biased. They're a completely biased outlet. And at that point, you're no longer relevant, because again, you're not fulfilling your stated purpose, which is to do unbiased game reviews. Okay, you're naive, and the developers of games like Dustborn are naive. The developers of Concord, the developers of Highguard. How many failures do you need to realize the fact that you are naive and that you don't understand the mechanics of the actual customer and the marketplace? You're actually incompetent academics that are pushing a fringe ideology that the vast majority, over 90%, it's really like 95% of people, but let's call it 92%. Let's give you the 8%. It's not really 8%. That's an aggregate. Let's just call it, but we'll give it to you. 8%. 92% of people are not in line with your coverage, with the games that are being produced in the West that are woke and ridiculous queer Marxist nonsense. Most people believe in private property, especially in the United States. Most people believe that there is a male and a female gender in the human race. Yeah. Let's just because those are foundational. Most people believe that you should earn your place in the world. It shouldn't just be taken from somebody else and given to you. Okay? Somebody has to do the work, to do the earning. Okay? And that person is entitled to the fruits of their labor. Okay? That's how the world works. That's the natural order of the world. By Mother Nature herself. Mother Nature works in a binary. Night and day. Sun and moon. Winter, summer. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you know, again, these people are like, it's almost like a lot of these people, it's just a mental disorder, or they've been indoctrinated in an academic space. And it's just like, you're the ones that are naive. You're the ones that are naive to the world and disassociated from reality.
Before we go any further.
What?
Naive designers.
Is that true?
The studio that spent 8 years building one of the most technically complex, visually extraordinary, seamlessly handcrafted open worlds this medium has ever produced.
It's huge. It is.
It's an amazing
written with complete confidence by someone
and you
who's
rated
never
it a
written
6
live
IGN.
code, never designed
You didn't
a single
celebrate
game
this.
system,
See,
never taken
any
one
other
creative
real
risk
gaming
in a
outlet,
medium they've spent their career
like when I was coming up in the 90s
someone
and the
whose entire
2000s,
professional existence,
this
whose
would have been
platform,
like,
whose
wow,
audience,
this would have been
whose institutional
Oblivion.
power exists.
See, this is really the
precisely
next
because
Oblivion.
Pearl Abyss did the hard work.
This is like
and
when
3
Oblivion
million
launched,
people
and it
wanted
was
to
like this
experience it.
massive leap in
Without the
role
studio's
playing and
building
visuals
and us consuming,
3D
there is no
graphics, and you
IGN,
go anywhere, do
there is no
anything.
platform,
This
there
is
no
this is the new
Metacritic
Oblivion.
score. There is no institutional authority.
And Oblivion was just like
The whole
touted
apparatus
on
is
in
entirely downstream
every
of the thing
space,
it's condescending
every
about.
media space, every
they
reviewer,
called
He is
screenshots
completely
everywhere.
right about this, by the way. He is totally 100% right about this. Is that the people that make content and constantly patronize these developers rely completely on them. It's absolutely true.
Those developers naive. So I want to ask
very
a question
obnoxious.
nobody at IGN seems to have asked before publishing this. What exactly is this confidence built on? Because 20 years ago, sure. 20 years ago, IGN served a real and legitimate function. You couldn't watch 40 hours of gameplay on YouTube before buying.
Nope,
You couldn't
it's
pull
over.
up a Twitch stream of someone 200 hours deep in a game.
Exactly.
It's over,
You couldn't read
bro.
10,000 Steam reviews from actual players who bought it with their own money.
See, this is the big difference, right? Is like back in the day, you needed game reviews because you didn't have any other way to access the medium.
Yes.
But now with YouTube and Twitch,
I had a subscription to GamePro. I had a subscription to Electronic Gaming Monthly. I had a subscription to Die Hard Game Fan. I was a Sega guy, so like Die Hard Game Fan was my favorite. And they had outstanding reviews in there by actual gamers. And all of that was amazing. I mean, who remembers GamePro Mag, right? GamePro Mag was great. Die Hard Game Fan was my favorite. But you know, I had at one point in time, I had a subscription to all 3 simultaneously. At other times, I would just like, cancel. Like at one point, I canceled GamePro because GamePro just got to be irrelevant, man. It just got to be biased and ridiculous. And the last subscription I had was Die Hard Game Fan. And I love that magazine. That was my favorite gaming mag. And I would pore over that. And I trusted the reviews. So I would use it as a buying guide. But I do not follow any corporate game journalism. It's all infiltrated. That's the word that we need to start using as the general public, is to understand that media, games media in particular, has been infiltrated. And they're trying to disseminate this to mostly a male audience. That's the white whale. Like the male gamer is the most sought after demographic to indoctrinate and to disseminate this ideology. And That is the white whale. That's the big fish. And they are literally breaking themselves against the wall of the gaming community. And it is beautiful to watch. They're like beating themselves bloody against the concrete, the cinder block wall of the gaming community. And it is beautiful to watch.
You already have a way, like basically written video game reviews are like kind of, like video killed the radio star. I think that's basically what happened with this too, where basically the medium of writing a review of a video game is just simply inferior to a YouTube video. It's just worse.
It is. Boom. I've been singing this for quite a while. Like, you need to go to your private creators, like your Asmongolds, like your, any of them. I think Destin finally got away from it. I mean, he's okay. But anybody else that you trust in the YouTube space that is giving you unbiased reviews of games as gamers for gamers. Okay. Otherwise, it is literally funded by organizations like these. This is the big point, and I made it before. But IGN and these outlets are not functioning in a genuine marketplace. They're not functioning at the behest of market forces. They are propped up. They are funded just like ABC News and MS Now and CBS. Nobody's watching that. They're playing that for boomers in the assisted living facilities. Nobody's watching it. Nobody relevant is watching it. It's propped up. It's propped up because it still has a ghost of influence, but like the Washington Post. Who is under 50 who's getting a subscription to the Washington Post? There's still, you see, the thing of it is there's still a lot of people that are like 50 and up that patronize these things as these the remnants of the boomer age, which is literally over. It's like we're in the cusp and we're leaving the age of the boomer and we're going into kind of a new space where, it's the individual creator. Same thing with Hollywood. Again, that's Boomerville. Hollywood's going, like corporate news is dying. Newspapers are dying. Magazines are dead. It's literally going into a world of individual creators, which I think is a beautiful thing. It's amazing. But their reviews are no longer relevant, and they're not participating. Meaning, when I say they're not participating in the market, customers are not supporting this to the level to keep them alive. They are literally getting outside funds and being propped up externally to propound political ideologies. Weaponized political ideologies. And it is absolutely disgusting, for one, but they're worthless, and they're irrelevant, and they're arrogant in their irrelevance. And it's literally watching them just rot from within, and it's beautiful to watch. I mean, it's great.
The information gap was real. The institutional access was real.
It was.
Review copies, preview events, publishing infrastructure, the ability to reach millions before anyone else could.
Yeah, that was another thing, is they had a lot of systematic advantages. Like, they had access to earlier builds, they had access to developer interviews, everything like that. True.
The authority had a genuine...
And some of that is still accurate. Like, you still have to play the game with these morons. That's why I say to Crimson Desert, don't shoot yourself in the foot. Like, some of these legacy outlets still wield some influence. So you know what? Send them the review copies answer their questions, listen to their feedback, but ignore their reviews. You know, you might want to respond to them if you wish, but then go to your regular creators, and that's where you get your decision making. Give games to people that love your game. Even smaller creators like me, give a copy of your game and let them review your game. Give them a code. I mean, you don't even have to send them anything anymore. You just issue them a code. Issue these creators that live in the genre of game that you are creating, or just good, solid private reviewers. Yes, it takes a little bit more work. Yes, you may actually have to hire somebody to work with your, mid-tier or smaller tier creators. Totally worth it though. Go to the people that love your product. Go to the real market. There's a real market out there, but the problem is that IGN has disassociated itself from gamers and the actual market, and they actually call us chuds. They actually call the people that buy your product names and diminish your own customers. So play the game as long as they're around, and then but give them just enough to be able to satisfy the minimum requirements, and then go to the people that actually love your game and do unbiased commentary.
Foundation. And it earned its place.
It's a little bit harder, totally worth it.
But what is
See,
that
it's
foundation
easy. See,
in
this is what the
2026?
IGNs of the world, they want to be the clearinghouse of game critique. It's like a one-stop shop. Well, of course you're going to go to IGN. Of course you have to go and give them review copies because that's IGN. And then all the other all the other hanger-ons that are out there, which are rapidly being bought up and becoming like one glorious whole. You need to start game developers need to start walking away from that monopoly of information and going to the creators. Again, it takes more work because there are more points of reference as opposed to just going to one or two or three major outlets and submitting your stuff for review and calling it good. That lazy way is going to cost you if you're not in line with their ideology. Some game developers will just put stuff in there because they don't want to face a headwind against, Microsoft or IGN or anybody that has these ESG, rules in place, and they don't want to encounter any headwinds, so they'll just put stuff into their game and give lip service to an ideology that they wouldn't necessarily do so it facilitates the movement of their game. But what they're finding out is the gamers are wise to it now. So we're sniffing it out and sussing it out right away. And it's cratering your sales. So the time to divest from that monopoly or that cartel of game review information, the IGNs of the world, you need to start divesting. You need to get smart, start divesting, hire a small staff to work with independent creators, mid and small creators, and get some codes out there, get some more codes out there, and get that momentum going. Get that word of mouth going on the Twitters, on the YouTubes. And that will serve you far better than these biased, not working in the real market outlets that are literally a cartel of information that is designed to gatekeep creators that don't fall within their ideological parameters. It's designed to bottleneck information to the consumer, and you don't want that. You want to get out to the actual customer, and you want to create the game that you want to make without their fringe extremist ideology. Believe it. Do the work. That's worth it.
It doesn't exist.
Because they're not relevant anymore.
Twitch exists.
Crimson
Steam
Desert
exists.
Let me stop. Crimson Desert has single-handedly collapsed the game review embargo cartel of extremism. And again, guys, this cartel, this game information embargo cartel, is like 5 at the most, in the aggregate, 8% of the population. There's not enough of them to support your product. That is the only calculus that you need to understand, especially for Eastern developers. Bypass these arrogant Western media cartels. Give them a code, give them a review copy, give them your patch notes, give them the minimums that you need to, but then you need to cultivate your own book of creators that are doing actual journalism and game reviews that are unbiased in your genre, and and that's what you cultivate to get the word of mouth and get the sales like they've gotten. Do you know who gave them the 3 million sales? It wasn't IGN. IGN was trying to put the brakes on it. And you know what? If IGN gave them an honest review, what do you want to bet they would have been 5 million units? Or 4 million units? They're going to get there anyway. All I'm saying is you need to cultivate your own stable of creators that are unbiased and do good, solid reviews of your product. It takes a little bit more work. It's not as easy as just giving out 3 review copies and your patch notes to 3 major outlets. You need to have a bilateral strategy where it's weighted 30% to the major outlets, which are biased, ideological extremists, and gatekeeping choke points, and 70% weighted attention, resources focused on solid, popular, independent, relevant creators that love your games, that love the genre, that will give you honest feedback and disseminate that to the customer. You will be better served if that is your marketing model versus going to the monopoly cartel, going to the info cartel.
The entire information monopoly that justified 20 years of institutional
I just said
authority.
that. I just said information monopoly.
Democratized.
I just said that.
The gap that made
And I think I like that word too, by the way, about it being democratized. Because the fact is that, like, nowadays, there's no real reason for you to give a shit about what some reviewer thinks, because there's some YouTuber that's much more popular than they are. And also, here's the truth. Video game reviewers might not like this, but I'm just going to say it. Every YouTube reviewer could be a written like article reviewer. Every single one of them. It's easy to do that. You can literally have AI generate the articles for you. That's how easy it is. Every single writer for these different like publications could not be a YouTube reviewer. And how do I know that for a fucking fact? Because if they could, they would. Yep. Because you can make 20 times the amount of money.
Yep.
And necessary is long gone. And here's what gets me on a personal level.
They're arrogant, mid-wit, political devotees to a fringe ideology. That's exactly what they are.
Gamer to gamer. Every game referenced in this article. Cyberpunk.
Yeah, Cyberpunk. They keep referencing Cyberpunk. This game shellacked Cyberpunk in terms of fixing the issues in the game. It shellacked them. Again, it took Cyberpunk released in such a terrible state. It was such an embarrassment. It was a disgrace, really. I love that game. I've put hundreds of hours into it. I love Cyberpunk. It's an amazing game now. But upon release, it was absolutely a train wreck. And it was a train wreck for like a year. So don't even get me started on that one.
Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Valheim. Red Dead Redemption. I've played all of them. Thousands of hours.
The thing of it is like we saw in the last reaction video I did those two like soy jack dudes with no gravitas. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't even, like, I looked at both of those guys and they cannot be YouTubers, like independent YouTubers. I already said to you that they can't, they'll never start their own business. They'll never start their own channel. They'll never develop a following. They'll never do any of these things because they lack gravitas. They lack the physical presence. They lack the personality. So they work for a corporate job, and they write their ridiculous articles that are like mid-wit. They part of their quote unquote personality is adhering to ideologies that are fringe ideologies that supposedly it's really a cult. It puts them into this, group of, and that's what happens with cults. You just become arrogant to the general public. You just become disassociated from reality. You're literally fooling yourself. You're literally self-disassociating from reality. And those two will never leave a corporate job. They'll never create their own space because they're not good enough. They're not smart enough. They're not clever enough. They don't look good enough. They're like goofy looking. They don't have any gravitas. They'll always just sit at IGN and shit on the plebs, and be like, yeah, we're arrogant. We're IGN. We're this. And they think that brand cares about them or that they're like associated with that brand in some way. And other than that brand is gonna use you until you're no longer useful, that's it. And then you're nothing. See, if you associate your identity with a corporate brand, if that corporate brand abandons you, which they absolutely can and will do at some point, you're nothing at that point. You're back to square one. And you're just a goofy soy jack.
Hours across most of them. Mm-hmm. So have most of you. So have the 3
Eat some meat,
million
lift some
people
weights,
who
get a
bought
personality.
Crimson Desert.
Exactly.
Do
like they don't know what they like.
Everything
Do something in the
he
real
experienced.
world, bro.
We know everything he knows.
Don't kill Black Tom.
We've lived in every world he's drawing on to make his comparisons.
Probably better than he has, too.
There is no enlightenment the badge confers.
Yes.
No insight invisible to us that becomes visible to him by virtue of working at IGN. No asymmetrical information. No technical expertise. No game development experience. Gamer to gamer. He thinks he's more qualified to evaluate this game than the people who bought it, played it, and loved it.
Boom. Now, Asmongold's going to throw his comments in. I'm going to jump in first. These guys are journalism majors. They've never written code. They never developed a game. They've never marketed a game. And I said this in my earlier video. If you want to start something and create something in the world, it takes work and dedication and every waking hour to get started. And even then you might fail. You have to go against ridiculous headwinds. And sometimes the wind, the working and the effort will switch the wind, and the wind will push you forward. You'll feel all of a sudden you reach this momentum point and things are pushing you forward. Okay. But you have to get through the headwinds to get pushed forward like that by life. And it's brutal. And it takes dedication and hard work. And these guys will never do that. These guys will never like develop code, create their own game, take a year off and eat ramen noodles and live in a camper and just code all day and get their game on Steam, get into the Greenlight program and like do something unique in the space and then grab the rewards for that. And sometimes those rewards are, it sold okay and maybe I made my investment back. And maybe that's all you get. Maybe your sequel makes money. Or maybe it never makes money. Or maybe you put more into it than you get back. Or maybe it's outrageous, or maybe it's mildly successful and you make $1 million. Or maybe it's outrageously successful and you make, 10 or 20 or $50 million or more. But again, you have to put that sacrifice in. You have to take those chances. You have to, it's the boldness of just like, I'm just going to do it. Those two, the people at IGN, they don't have that. They've never done anything. What they want, they went to college. They got a journalism degree, which is ridiculously easy for pretty much anybody to get. And then they got a job at IGN. And then they play games for, 5 hours or 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever it is. And they write a snarky review. And if it's not in line with the communist ideology that they were fed at college, with the the Marxist cult at college, then well, it's shit then, isn't it? It's like,
more than that he's more qualified than anybody else. I think that one thing that these review websites should stop doing is they should stop the DEI representation of critic reviews.
Yep.
Why is somebody who's a critic review, why is that held separately as a separate score? All of the different views should be aggregated entirely. And if you want, like, Metacritic and these other websites should not have critic reviews in their own category.
yeah.
And the
it's
3
absurd.
million copies, the very positive Steam rating,
Yeah.
and the rebounding stock price are 3
Critics are paid off.
independent
I think
data
so, yeah.
sources all saying
In
the
some
same
cases,
thing
not
at the
directly, but
same time.
indirectly.
Within a week, all the damage that IGN attempted to do and the rest of corporate games journalism, which is literally queer Marxist propaganda, was reversed. More importantly, it exposed the system, the gatekeeping bottleneck system of keeping Eastern games out of Western markets, and which are bypassing the Marxist ideology that is trying to be disseminated. Literally, corporate games review and games journalism is literally a channel of Marxist propaganda. Queer Marxist, genderless propaganda.
That's what this video is about.
Sad.
Not just the bad review. We've
Sad.
covered that. Not just the face-saving follow-up piece they just published.
Yes.
Though we're going through it in detail. It's about the specific quality of arrogance that makes both of those things possible.
That's one of the big things, is like, it's the arrogance and the assumed sense of authority that these people have. And I think that's one thing that people hate the media entirely for.
Yes.
It's not even just specifically
Yes.
about video game media.
Yes,
I think
the
it's about all
arrogance.
media. Where, like, you
You've
have
gotten
people
a
that are in these
4-year
positions as
journalism
news
degree.
reporters or as, an actor or, like, a comedian, that think that they have the position that they can dictate to you what is right and what's not. Right? Some people study journalism and may have more credentials to be a reviewer, but that's more for movies than games. But, like, what are those credentials? What really are those?
Yeah, journalism
Like, so
degree.
you understand
4-year
Shakespeare, so you're
journalism
going to
degree
understand
that
if a
pretty
movie
much
is better? Like, how does
any
that, there's
midwit
no,
can get.
Like, this is a completely subjective
Like,
evaluation.
what degree can
And
I
think
get
this is
to
one
be an
thing that
arrogant,
people that have nothing
sanctimonious
better to do
Marxist
but to create credentials for
and lecture
themselves
people?
do, is that they sit
journalism,
around in a
games,
group
and
and
I
then they
go into games
collectively
journalism?
decide why their opinions are more important than other people's.
And I
There's
can
no
make fun of the
actual
people that
objective
made fun of
value
me.
that's assigned to this. It's all perceived value that's created by the people that want you to perceive their value. I think it's a little bit self-serving, isn't it?
The kind
it
that only
self-serving.
survives when it goes unchallenged long enough to stop feeling like arrogance and start feeling like authority.
Exactly.
Let's go through it.
I think this started with Gamergate. I think that was a big component to it, where, like, they thought that they could talk down to their audience.
Yep.
And I feel like ever since then, it's just gotten worse.
Yep.
It's my opinion.
Yep.
The very first sentence of this article is,
Perfect.
love it or hate it, there's no denying that Crimson Desert has suffered something of a rocky launch.
True? Yeah.
Rocky launch. 2 million copies sold on day one. I played on launch day and had a blast.
Yes.
The only thing rocky about this launch was legacy gaming media manufacturing informational chaos.
There were issues.
Calling it criticism.
There were some issues.
I disagree with this. I think that a lot of it.
Yeah, and the thing of it is that like a game that's this large and ambitious is going. Having issues at launch is not. It is not an indictment of the game or the intent of the creators. And again, sometimes you just have to go live and to suss out, like you do your best as a small team or even as a medium-sized team, you do your best to identify everything. But, and again, you have the internal bias of understanding the controls intimately. And you're like, well, this is pretty good. This is not confusing to me because I'm working with it every day, but you get that kind of internal bias. So you have to launch it to the general public and just kind of take the arrows and listen to the feedback. The only problem is if you don't listen to the feedback and you don't act quickly to address it. But they did both of those things. So, you don't got to cover for them. Did it function? Like this launched way better than Cyberpunk because it was completely playable. It was completely playable as is, which is better than most Western AAA launches.
The systems and the controls were bad. And I think the fact that they didn't have storage was bad. I think that there were a lot of things that they should have had like an idea about and they didn't. I disagree with that. I think absolutely it was problematic at launch. That's why they fixed it and they came out with an apology. Like they did that because it was broken.
Yeah.
And I want you to notice what was in the original review and what wasn't.
Yes.
Controls. Inventory management.
Yes.
Boss difficulty. Every complaint was...
The bosses are easy. Who the fuck's having trouble with bosses?
Yeah, the bosses are not tough.
Why?
About surface
DSP,
level
yeah,
friction.
DSP.
The kind of stuff any competent
I know DSP
studio
was going to be
patches away
mentioned in
the
this
first
one.
week.
Yeah,
Pearl Abyss did it in 72 hours.
they did. It was
What
great.
was never in the review?
3 days.
The artistic vision. The sheer technical
The
achievement.
major
of a seamless
gripes.
Open...
That's something to be said. That's one of the fastest turnaround times I've ever seen, especially for a game this big. And that again, because it's their own engine, it gives them the nimbleness to go in and make those changes quickly and specifically. 3 days, they fixed every major gripe with the exception of controller mapping, which they are working on.
World at that scale and beauty. The genuinely original design philosophy.
I'm actually kind of waiting for a sale. Like eventually there's going to be a markdown on the physical copy, whether it's like a 10 or 15% markdown or something like that. There'll be a sale on a physical copy, and I'm waiting for that. And by that time, the controller issue will be fixed.
None of the things that will still matter about this game in 10 years registered. Just the surface. Just the stuff that was gone before the review was even cold. And now look at what this follow-up piece is.
I mean, this guy obviously
doing.
likes the game.
It's all like the IGN review, in a way. It seemed like they were almost trying to punish Pearl Abyss for not giving them a more stable review build. Like, if you actually looked at the review itself, like a lot of them talking about it were just complaining about issues and friction points they had with the review build.
Whiny bitches. Giving a game a 6. Just the ambition and scale of the game should have been a 7.
The thing that dominated the original review,
Whiny
the controls, the inventory,
bitches.
the boss difficulty, has
Bitch
been
boys,
patched away.
bitch-made men.
So the rocky
Soy
launch
jacks.
framing has quietly shifted to the one thing patches can't touch.
Yeah.
The story. That's what's left. That's the last redoubt. We've covered extensively in previous essays why that argument falls apart the moment you actually engage with what this game is trying to do.
Oh, and by the way, the guys that did the review from IGN cannot function in any other environment. They cannot function in an aggressive entrepreneurial environment, an aggressive marketing environment, an aggressive financial environment. And again, merchandising. Those guys cannot function. They will be marginalized. This IGN review that was absolutely terrible is the high point of their career. That's the high point of their influence, the high point of whatever they're going to do in their entire life. They're never going to be able to function in a real... You put those soy jacks into a room with some serious hardcore businessmen eaten alive. They would be marginalized instantaneously. And they know that. They're sitting there with their arrogant little IGN review. That is as important as those idiots will ever be.
And we'll get into it again.
Okay, sure.
But I want you to see the sleight of hand.
That's why they stay in academia. That's why they stay in these Marxist circles, because they're full of weak mid-wit men.
Clearly first. One patch cycle invalidated the overwhelming majority of their professional criticism.
True, actually, and I think more people should talk about that. Like for me, for example, like at the beginning, I thought the game was pretty shitty because of the controls and the way that you moved around, and then they made a patch that made the game less shitty. I know, sounds crazy, but they just made it better. And guess what? It worked. It worked really well.
And rather than acknowledge that, they reframed it.
The game at this point is a solid 8.
Still standing.
Into the 9s.
Confident.
It's an 8.5.
As if the ground beneath them hasn't completely shifted. Then we get to the paragraph that made me stop reading and just stare at my screen for a moment. It's unclear if the development team has had to break their backs to do this.
The reason why groups like IGN participate in the character destruction and the media destruction for something like Crimson Desert is because Crimson Desert doesn't represent what they want video games to push a message about. It doesn't have, like fucking Western critical themes against authoritarianism. It doesn't have, different types of representation, whether it's of women, whether it's of, gay people or black people or something like that. And I think that's the reason why they rate these games down. And I think that fundamentally, what does it come down to? What really is that?
Brutal.
It's racism. It is. It's cultural racism, where these people want to create a reward structure around following their cultural norms and basically adhering to them. So every single China game, every Korea game, and to a lesser extent every Japanese game is graded on this harsh curve of adhering to Western cultural values.
And the game has to be so much better to get the same recognition as a Western game that is woke. It's trash. I can't believe it comes out of the West. I really don't. It is trash. Woke is trash. Woke does not represent 92% of the marketplace. And these outlets are gatekeepers and bottlenecks for games that do not follow this fringe woke ideology. What Asmongold just came out and told you is that any game that comes out that doesn't filter into the woke ideology is scored down. They're gatekeepers, they're propaganda outlets, they're bottlenecking, they're putting the brakes on games that don't give lip service to their fringe ideology by these weak-willed soy jack theater kids that cannot function in a real marketplace. They're irrelevant. They are in opposition to their stated purpose and role in the marketplace. And they are rapidly losing the tiny little credibility that they had. And Crimson Desert has absolutely destroyed their narrative. Boom.
And they're not even really Western cultural values. They are extreme Western values from a small subset of people that want to force that culture into everything else.
Thank you.
Think about what you
Think
have
about
to
the amount of games that are coming out of China and Korea especially that get shit on constantly by these developers. Or sorry, by these reviewers. I think that they do it almost every single time.
believe about yourself to write that sentence.
Oh, is it a focused, intentional program of discrimination and monopolizing and basically diminishing a product in the marketplace, acting as a monopoly so that the actual customer and the actual products can come together?
Pearl Abyss, a studio whose stock crashed partly because of a review substantially written about things they then fixed in 3 days, came back, listened, worked, and turned the entire conversation around in under a week.
Exactly.
And the response is to wonder, in
They did the same thing to Black Myth Wukong. They did the same thing to Wu Chang. They did the same thing to Stellar Blade. They did that to a lesser extent to Lost Ark as well.
It's disgusting.
They've done this to like every game, like every popular Eastern game.
And that's racist. And that's racist. And who the hell are you to tell the customer and the marketplace what they're allowed to have? Again, now we're seeing the real ideology. Now we're seeing the real Politburo and the illiterati basically dictating to the plebs what you're allowed to have. Now we're back to serfdom. Now we're back to neo-feudalism, where the nobility tells you what you're allowed to see, what you're allowed to have, where you're allowed to go. Serfs weren't allowed to like travel freely. You had to go get your permission from the lord of the manors, whoever handled his day to day. You weren't. If you wanted to go over to the next county, the next town, you don't have freedom of movement. You don't have freedom of speech. You're not allowed to talk against the lord. You're not allowed to see things. You're not allowed to read. You're not allowed to read literature that basically has about other political ideas and what have you. Now you get to see the true authoritarians. These are the true authoritarians, is the woke ideology and the queer Marxist. These are the true, like, how should I put the academic nobility?
That comes out, they always want to frame it around the fact that these Eastern games aren't looking at their social issues in the right way. Where wins meat, that's another good example. You're right. Yeah, they do it constantly.
92% of the population doesn't care about your ideology, bro.
That's not
92%. And if you're not careful, the culture is going to roll over and
it's the kind of sentence that
marginalize you. You're already marginalized as it is. You're self-marginalized
about having done it.
Well, you're poisoning the well, right? You're implying that them making, like, basically, okay, so they're wrong for not having it, and they're also wrong for fixing it fast because that could make people have to work too hard, which is like total fan fiction. They're inventing this themselves.
Yeah.
Then, assuming that's true, it would also mean that Pearl Abyss didn't see the glaring issues in Crimson Desert's design. Be that a result of poor internal testing, naive designers, or simply not seeing the wood for the trees. Naive designers.
Naive designers.
What technical background? What engineering
Not seeing the wood from the trees is the same type of, like, that to me, that is theater kid vocabulary and like diction. Like that is what a theater kid talks like, where they think that they're speaking like you're writing like an essay for like AP English or something.
What game development experience sits behind the confidence required to call the people who built this naive? The answer, as far as anyone can establish, is a media degree. That's it. That's the foundation.
That's what matters.
Something happens in the middle of this article that I think is the most revealing.
IGN is literally destroying themselves against the wall that is Crimson Desert. they are literally battering themselves against the quality of this game. They're throwing themselves against this game and literally beating themselves bloody over it. It's crazy. Crazy.
Moment in the whole piece. After walking through the patches and grudgingly acknowledging that they worked, fast travel improved, storage box transformed the crafting loop, boss difficulty adjusted, they write this sentence. If you already like Crimson Desert's approach, I think there's a genuine possibility that it could be a contender for your Game of the Year by the summer.
Your Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Your Game of the Year. Not the Game of the Year. Yours. As in,
passive
for people
language.
like you.
Chuds.
People with your particular taste.
Chuds.
People who enjoy this kind of thing.
True.
Read that again.
Not the
You feel
aristocrats.
Exactly how much
Not the
condescension
academic
is packed
aristocrats
into
with
one
journalism
word.
degrees.
They didn't correct the 6.
That
They didn't
literally,
reconsider.
like an
They just
intelligent
graciously
chimpanzee could
extended
acquire.
permission for a certain type of player to enjoy a certain type of game. The hierarchy is completely intact.
Well, they'll never go back on what they think. And the reason why is because the real reason why they downvote and they negative review these games is because of that value system. That's the main reason why they're doing it. It has nothing else besides that. Also saying by the summer is implying it's not good enough, but it might make it good in a few weeks. Yes, exactly, right?
Wow.
The authority never moved. They're still above it. They're just acknowledging that some people with some tastes might find value here.
The general customer.
Exactly.
First, they
The actual
condescended the
customer.
developers, naive designers. Now they're condescending the players, the very people their entire existence depends on. Written with complete confidence.
By the way, admitting error requires a sense of character. The other thing about queer Marxism or Marxism in general, they don't believe in religion. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in an afterlife. They don't believe in karma. They don't believe in any cosmic retribution or a balance of good and evil. Again, they don't believe in the binary. They don't believe in cause and effect. And the thing of it is that they don't believe that there's anything but this physical life and the physical world. In Marxism and communism, it's just about this reality. So there is no God to hold you accountable. There is no reason not to be completely unscrupulous in promoting your ideology. There's no reason to not do whatever it takes to get your ideology in there. It doesn't matter if you lie, cheat, steal, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. There is no higher authority. They don't believe in any of that. Queer Marxists don't believe in God, heaven, afterlife, the devil, hell. They don't believe in any of that. Even karma, there's no, it's just the reality as it is, and that's all that exists. So whatever you have to do to propound your ideology, you can go ahead and do, no matter what lack of character that is. Again, that's another reason that this ideology always fails. Is because there's just you just do whatever, you just do, you don't own anything. You just do what you want to do. You take what you want, from somebody else who earned it and whatever, it's like they don't care about any of that. You have to understand, most people don't operate like that. Most people operate with a sense of ethics, of there's good and bad. And if you do evil, evil's going to come to you, or you're going to pay a price in some way. They don't believe in any of that. As long as they're propounding the ideology, that's good. That's their version of good. It doesn't matter how much evil they do. There's no such concept as evil. There's only the ideology and everything else. And the only thing that's evil is if you don't propound the ideology or go along with the ideology. That is the morality of these people. So they don't care what they do. That's why they're not going to be accountable. That's why they're not going to have the strength of character to apologize and admit error. They don't see any benefit to that. They don't see any reason to do that. I personally believe that there is a balance, and that is the way nature is set up. Is there like if you're doing good, there's a certain reason to have a level of character and to act with good intent in the world. These people do not believe any of that.
And zero self-awareness that without us, none of this exists.
They don't believe in God.
They complained.
They don't believe in like sin,
that having to
or
prepare for bosses
like
was a design
evil
failure.
works is going to cost
Cooking
you
food.
or it's going to impact your soul.
What?
They don't believe in the soul.
What?
Managing resources, grinding to get
And by the way, that's why their games like Highguard and Marathon are freaking soulless.
ready
bad?
for a difficult
Literally.
fight. Too much of a burden. Punishing.
Combine that with the fact that you now don't need to cook up 1,000 bowls of soup to get through Kiresh the Slayer. I mean, yeah, it was kind of hard, but like, man, it wasn't that bad. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, if you really play video games, like you really play them,
It's not hard at all.
you know, you get used to
And
like
honestly,
taking a few
I had to
losses
laugh.
to a boss,
Because the preparation
figuring
in
it
this
out
game
and going
isn't a
back and
separate
taking it down.
grind you stop and do.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
why
what
gamers are
happens
good
when you're
problem
actually
solvers.
Playing.
Exactly, yeah, you're going to get these items while you're playing anyway.
But then you get
It's
people
gonna
like
happen on its
DSP.
own.
You're exploring, picking up ores naturally, buying mats from NPCs on the road, upgrading gear organically.
Who
By the
slams his
time
head
you
against
reach
the
a
same boss
you have more than
who has
enough if you've been
a
engaging
very
with the world at all.
easy pattern
The reviewer
for
made
like
it sound
hours.
like you had to stop everything and dedicate hours to farming.
That was brutal, man.
That's not the
That was a
game.
brutal
Bullshit.
IQ
That's
test.
someone who
Bullshit.
didn't understand how the systems work together, describing his own
It's
confusion.
another example of you
as a
don't have to be
design
smart to
failure.
be successful. You
And
just
this
have to be
person calls
relentless.
himself a hardcore Souls player.
The only reason before concluding with super long 3-phase boss fights that include some segments where you're just mercilessly swarmed by the bad guy, while you have to dash around destroying totems. Oh, he's talking about the Reed boss. The
Yeah.
only reasonable way to get through it is to have a ton of healing items on hand and to eat by the fistful while you whittle down the enemy's health bar. I love Souls-like and I consider myself a tryhard. Holy
You're
fuck,
a
man.
jackass. You're a jackass, dude.
Like,
You're a
yeah, some of the
jackass.
boss fights have problems, but like,
You're a jackass.
Jesus.
This guy's a jackass.
But here's what
No,
makes
you're
this
not. You're not good,
particularly
bro.
pointed.
You're not
Yeah.
good.
Pearl Abyss
And
listened
it really,
anyway.
the problem is an
They
IQ
nerfed
problem.
the bosses. They fixed the inventory.
It's an IQ
because
problem.
the boss was too hard.
He's not
I
a
mean, like,
tryhard.
he was. He was
You
too
have an
hard
IQ
for like the
problem.
point in the game.
You're
like,
a
he was way
midwit
harder than everything
journalist,
else. And
journalism
they know what
degree.
the completion rates for the game are on the back end. And
You
when
know.
they see that completion rates drop off whenever you get to a certain boss, that's not good for your game. So obviously
Right.
they're going to fix it. Obviously they're going to improve it. Duh. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
They added the storage. They responded with extraordinary speed and genuine care.
Extraordinary
IGN
speed is correct.
And also, since this, they've also responded to the criticisms of the story, too. They did that today. They actually are listening to the players a lot. It's quite surprising.
Still standing by the six. Because institutional arrogance doesn't update when reality pushes back.
Nope.
It just keeps going. Still certain, still confident, still writing think pieces about whether the patches were enough, rather than asking whether the review was.
Man. Man.
And then we get to the part that I think most completely exposes the limits of how these outlets actually think about games. Their argument is that Crimson Desert's story is a fundamental creative failure. Not technical, not a launch window issue.
It really doesn't
baked
need a
into the
story.
bones.
You are the story.
And to explain why, they invoke Cyberpunk 2077. I've played thousands of hours of Cyberpunk.
That's too much.
Cyberpunk is a cinematic experience first, and an open world second. That's the design philosophy, held completely and executed brilliantly. Every decision serves that vision. When you're in a Cyberpunk cutscene, you're not being taken out of the game. You're in the deepest part of it.
Yeah.
That conviction produced one of the greatest games
Kick him off.
ever made.
Kick him off.
Sure.
I was
Crimson
like, oh,
Desert
please kick him
has
off
a
the
completely
cliff.
different conviction. And here's the thing IGN cannot grasp. That difference is not a deficiency. It's a design philosophy. A deliberate, ambitious attempt to do something Western open-world design stopped trying to do years ago.
I didn't know you could open that door. I had no idea you could do
window?
that. That shit's crazy.
Let me tell you what I was doing while this article was being written.
Playing the game?
I found out there was an armor set somewhere in the world.
I'm gonna get
The
that
Shadows plate armor.
Looks
Full
badass.
Lich King aesthetic. Hood
Yeah.
up, black robes, massive
That looks
executioner
badass.
axe. Nobody sent me to get it. No quest marker, no objective, no waypoint. I just heard it existed and decided I wanted it.
You have dogs?
What followed was
That should get you a
genuinely
point.
one of the best gaming sessions I've had in years. I rode out with just a direction. Scaled mountains that looked like the Canadian Rockies, genuinely vertical. The kind of climb where you grip the controller tighter because you're not sure you'll make it. Stumbled
Dude, if you can't climb in this game, you're garbage.
into
It's
a
so
witch's
easy.
hideout built inside an ancient tree trunk in the Wayward Woods.
Yep.
Found it completely by accident because I'd gone the wrong way. Accidentally rode through a
Actually,
black
the
bear
same
camp
thing.
and got chased halfway up a mountain by what felt like an entire civilization of absolutely furious barbarians. Dropped into desert canyons with waterfalls hidden inside them. Found border cities that weren't on any map I'd looked at.
Yep.
Still on chapter 4.
You're the story.
Main story untouched for hours.
You're the story.
I think that's another really good indicator of whether a open world game is good or not, is if somebody can play the game all day and not progress the main story. Because I feel like if you can do that, it means that the extra
Like Skyrim, like
mechanics and the
Cyberpunk,
world
like
building is good
Oblivion.
enough for you to figure out there's something that's more engaging than just simply sitting there and doing the MSQ, right? Like I felt that way with Oblivion a lot. Like, okay, yeah, I would do the main story quest, but you know, that's not the main thing I'm going to focus on, right? I'm going to go and do the Dark Brotherhood quest line or something like that. And I think same thing with Where Winds Meet. I think it's another very good open world game. And games that make you feel like you have to do the main story, I think very commonly are the bad
limiting.
ones.
Again, we're talking
Nothing
about
locked me
agency.
out.
It's about getting distracted.
The world
Yeah, exactly.
just existed. Vast.
Yeah, like
and
basically, like, yeah, if you don't feel yourself getting distracted by spontaneous things that you come across when you're playing an open world game, it's probably because that open world game is bad. Because that's the reason why open world games are special. It's because you can go and play the game and have this experience that's totally different and it's spontaneous and unique.
Boom. And we are going to...
Witcher 3. I actually think this is going to be maybe an unpopular opinion.
Here we go.
I think this game has a better open world than Witcher 3.
I agree.
And by the way, I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, because Witcher 3 is more guiding you everywhere. You go to the next quest, the next marker, the next locate. It's constantly pushing you through like you're in a theme park ride. You know, it's like you're okay. Now you need to go over here. Now I need to go over here. Now you need to do this. Now you need to talk that. It's channeling you. It's funneling you. But we're going to leave it at that. This video is going to be long enough as it is. I invite you to watch this. There's been a situation video by Asmongold on this topic. Him reacting to this other creator who is a gamer who loves the game and is giving you, a somewhat biased because he's a fan of the game, but giving you a critique of IGN's follow-up to their review on this amazing title and what the unfortunately, how should I say, disingenuous approach that IGN has taken to the success and the reaction to this game by the gaming community. This has been LVO Toro, station identification.
Let me show them some fancy action
And
now.
do me a favor, if you watch it, please, I'm very dry on likes. I'm a Crimson Desert of likes. So slice that like button on your way in, while you're here, or on your way out. Do me a favor and recognize the effort that I put into my content on the daily. Thank you so much. This is LVO Toro, Fancy Action Now.